ASMR back again. So, as I previously mentioned, I want to make more UFC stuff, and as I also previously mentioned, my plans are to make predictions and also matchmakings. So, we had the prediction 3 days ago or two, and now after the event, we are gonna do a matchmaking. Of course, I won't pick every single fighter. This would be way too long, and I'm not that good, like knowledge-wise. I'm not that much of a pro. Just to make it clear, I never said I'm a MMA pro, So I just observe and I maybe try to remember what is this guy's style or what is this guy's style. So this is how I operate. Anyway, so I picked 10 guys out from last fight night or UFC pay-per-view, and I will choose an opponent for each one and maybe say a little bit about it. And yeah, so let's go. I will go in upwards order, so I will start with the prelim guys, etc. And main event will be last. So if you're only interested in this, you have to scroll to the end. Sorry, but I like it more like this because I think it's it's usually the thing you want to know most, and if you reveal it at the beginning, the rest of the video kind of falls off. So I like to structure it like this. So yeah, upwards. First guy I want to talk about is Islam Dulatov, our German representative. The bro really delivered. I have to say, nice hands, nice combos. Didn't look phased once. His teammate told him to do the exact punch he ended up doing, which, basically knocked his opponent out. And big respect to this guy. I think he really showed he belongs into the UFC. Now, of course, we can't get overexcited. It was still an unranked opponent, and he fought 4 minutes. We can't say how will he do when fights go to distance or just longer in general. But yeah, I really liked his performance. His next enemy should definitely be a step up, maybe not top 15 also, because they did the same mistake with Abus, another German fighter, and I think it was his second fight. They already put him versus Strickland, and Strickland destroyed him. So I like if the fighters get built up a bit more, especially the younger ones. So I think a good matchup would be against a veteran-styled fighter with experience, which still is maybe in top 20. And my choice would be Vicente Luque. I think this would be a great matchup. They both are striking heavy, and I think it would be a good test for Dulatov. If he can beat Luque, then we can talk about top 15 enemy next time. So that's my first matchup. Next one is, I only know the last name from the top of my head. Oliveira. Solid performance. No knockout, but that's fine. Still very solid. I liked how he fought. I think he should definitely get a higher ranked opponent now. He proved himself against 12th ranked. Now it's time for top 10. And I think a very good fit would be Marlon Vera. Vera kinda struggled in like recently, and I think it's time for him to fight down. They both are also striking heavy, and I would like to see this matchup. And yeah, let's see what they do. Next category is middleweight. Um, so the first one I want to talk about is Marvin Vettori. Sadly, he lost. I chose wrong. By the way, I did a couple wrong predictions, but you know how it is with predictions, and I have to say, there were 2 or 3 fights where I went with the guy I wanted to win and then ended up failing the prediction, but whatever. So Vettori lost, still close fight. I had it 29-28 for Brandon Allen, and I kind of cheated on this one, or not cheated, but I chose the easy path because we had another middleweight event tonight or yesterday night, which was Kopilov versus Costa, and Kopilov lost, Costa won. I will talk about this fight soon. And my idea was this: Vettori lost, and he's, I think, rank 10. So now it's time to fight a bit downwards, you know. Kopilov lost, he's rank 14. Now you could either say he fights unranked, or, and that's how I would do it, put him against Vettori. It makes sense. They both lost, they both were or are still top 15. Stylistically, I think it's a decent matchup. Yeah, and I personally would like to see it, and to see if any of these guys can bounce back in a nice way. And yeah, so I would put Vettori versus Kopilov, and then we were talking about Brandon Allen, who won versus Vettori. I don't know, they got fight of the night, but to me this definitely was not fight of the night. But I don't know what fights the judges saw, but I definitely would have chosen the main event for fight of the night, but whatever. So Brandon Allen, and again, as I mentioned, I chose the easy route this time, but also makes sense. So Brandon Allen was, I think, number 11, and Paulo Costa, who won his fight, was number 13. And I think it would make sense that these two fight against each other next time. So do Brandon Allen versus Paulo Costa for the next fight. I think this is a good matchup, and it's a good matchup to test who really, you know, whose time for top 10 it is. Of course, like personally, just because of the beef and everything, I would like Costa versus Shimaev most. But there's no way this fight will happen in the next month or years. The difference just too big. Costa has to win at least 2 fights, I would think, before we can talk about title discussion. Like, let's say that he wins versus Brandon Allen, then maybe give him some top 5 guy or something. I don't know, maybe Whittaker or something like this. With Whittaker rematch or Adesanya rematch even, why not? Yeah, but until then I would leave it like this. Next fighter, Michael Johnson. Impressive performance, guys. I said it in my prediction. It's possible that this guy surprises us. Yeah, very fast still for his age, nice combos. He had to close the distance, which he did well. And I don't know, his enemy was just blasting kicks on his arms pretty much all fight, and activity and striking was way better for Johnson. So for me, definitely deserved the win. Respect for that performance. The, the, the boy still got it, even though his trash talk is so bad. But respectable performance. And for me, it's clear a next opponent for Johnson has to be top 15. He had some good performances recently, and I think it's time to check if he can maybe beat a top 15 opponent again. And my choice would be Michael Chandler. And why? Chandler lost almost all his fight recently and still kept getting good fights or fighters that were above him. And I think now it's really time to fight below. And I think it's a good matchup. They are both older guys. Chandler would have been considered way better years ago, but now I think you could argue they are maybe on the same level. Of course, Chandler is like still a beast, don't get me wrong. And I also like him, even though he's also kind of cringe, but his fights are always entertaining, so though I will never count him out. And yeah, that's why I think this would be a good matchup. So let's see what the UFC does. Maybe top 15 is too soon for Michael Johnson, but then again, he's 38, so I would just give it a try. Let's see what he does, and if he gets completely wrecked, then it's clear back to unranked opponents. Okay, next fighter on the list is Dan Ige. Weirdest fight of the night, boring as hell. I don't know, man. This Pitbull guy, I'm gonna talk about him afterwards. Like, I don't know, all his fights are kind of boring. So Ige lost again, very close fight. You could have given it to Ige also. I don't know if they just wanna build up this Pitbull guy because he was Bellator champ, but yeah, so Ige lost, and that means he should. I don't think he should fight an unranked opponent, but still low top 15. And I think a cool matchup would be against Giga Chikadze. They are both striking heavy. Both are low top 15. By the way, just to so you know, maybe some fighters would have had better options, but you have to remember some guys already have fights planned or booked, so I can't choose everyone, which means some people fall away, and that's why I had to choose for certain guys. But yeah, I would choose Giga Chikadze. I think it's a good matchup. It's again low top 10 versus low top 10 to find out who gets the next top 10 guy, Both strike. I think it would be an interesting matchup, and I hope we can see it. Next fighter, I mentioned him, it's Pitbull. So he won the fight, but barely, and I would have given it to Ige, even though I predicted Pitbull to win. I still would say that Ige won, but it is what it is. So Pitbull won, which pretty much, catapults him into top 15, maybe like 11th, 12th place, something like this. And I think I think, on rank 10. They are both a bit older already, both in low top 10, and I think both of them deserve a ranked opponent. And it's again one of those matchups. I had several of them where I always like to put two top 15 guys, but low top 15 against each other to find out who gets the next top 10 fight, you know. And I think, as I mentioned, both are a bit older already. I think it just makes sense. Maybe stylistically not that much, or maybe I just want to see Pitbull get knocked out. No, I'm just kidding. It's not like I'm hating on the guy, but I don't know, both his fights were so boring and he just doesn't do anything. I don't know. It seems like he just can't let go. But yeah, Pitbull versus Emmett, I would like this matchup. Next guy on the list is Kevin Holland. Oh my god, this guy, like, it's up and down with this guy. It's so weird. I really was sure the guy is fully unlocked and will win it, but he lost. And guys, what the hell was that fight, man? How did Rodriguez not finish Holland in round 2? And how the hell did Holland not finish Rodriguez in round 3? Bro, Rodriguez he could barely even stand. And for some reason, Holland goes for kind of a takedown and just fumbles the entire sequence. If he would have stood up instantly and let the hands go, I am pretty sure Holland would have won the fight, but it went to distance and then it was a clear 2-1. So yeah, Holland lost. He's still probably in the top 15, probably 14th place maybe, or 15th or 13th. And I think his next opponent should still be ranked, but very low, but very low ranked. And I think a good matchup would be versus a newly ranked guy. His name is Gabriel Bonfim. I think it would be a good matchup. Bonfim could check, now it's time to check top 15 again. Holland, very weird guy to fight against. You can almost say in a way he's kind of a gatekeeper, and I think it would make sense also stylistically. I think it would be interesting, pretty striking heavy. And yeah, I think it just makes sense to again find out, where do these guys belong. And if Bonfim wins, it's clear next guy is something top 10. If Holland wins, the same. But yeah, I still think Holland should stay in welterweight, and I also say don't count him out because he lost. The fight was still good and very close. So yeah, I would put him against Bonfim, and then if he loses this fight, he should get an unranked opponent next. Okay, so next fighter is Daniel Rodriguez. He won against Holland. Impressive fight, dude, the guy. First of all, man, he really looks like some Breaking Bad gangster type of guy. But he seems pretty nice. Like in the embedded clips, he seemed pretty cool. They put him in like an ice chamber and stuff like this, and the reporter asked him, what does this do to you? Why is it so good? And he's like perfectly honest and says, honestly, I have no clue, but it feels good. I really like that. So yeah, the guy is ranked now, pretty sure will be his next fight should definitely be upwards, and I think a cool matchup would be versus Gilbert Burns. Gilbert, or I don't know how you say, but I say Gilbert Burns. Burns had some rough fights recently, some tough losses, and he definitely has to fight more downwards. So I think this matchup would make sense. It's again, I always try to make these kind of matchups where the winner gets maybe the loser, which is still above him in the rankings. And I think if he beats Burns, we can talk about a top 10 opponent next. And if Burns wins, it's a little confidence boost. And I think his next opponent could also be top 10 again afterwards. So yeah, D-Rod versus G Burns. And last but not least, of course, the main event. So, main event was amazing, absolutely amazing fight. Exactly how I predicted it. It will go to decision, but I predicted the winner wrong. Guys, how good is Max Holloway at lightweight? I was really, really impressed, I have to say. Good hands, very, very good hands. Quick combos, very, very, how do you say, crisp, very clean. Poirier also looked insane. Don't wanna say anything bad about him. It was just a good fight overall. I don't think it was 39-36. I think it was way closer than that. But definitely Max won, that's clear. Sucks for Poirier, but it is what it is. Max is a BMF. You can't say it otherwise. He is the BMF. He lost to Topuria, which I think isn't something you can be too sad about it, because Topuria seems on another level right now. So yeah, very good win for Poirier. Of course, I can't choose an opponent because he retired. If I had to, I would maybe, I don't know. No, whatever, doesn't make sense to even think about it. He won't come back. But for Holloway, we have an opponent. And now, guys, this might be controversial, but let me cook. I will tell you my entire plan for lightweight. So, we need a fight, an enemy for Topuria, right? Now, there are different enemies that would make sense. There's Gaethje, there's Arman, there's Holloway, there's a couple of guys. So, but my idea is this. I personally, and I will tell you why, I think the next title shot should be for Gaethje. Why? Because the guy won almost all his fights, recent fights. He only lost to Holloway, but you have to keep in mind this was only a gimmick fight. The UFC promised him back then, because it was also short notice, they promised him that if he loses it will have no consequences. And he lost, so if UFC keeps their word, it has no consequences, right? He won before that 2 fights, and he won his last fight, which was again a pretty alpha move by him, because he again accepted someone short notice, even if he didn't have to. And he beat him again, and I personally would give him the title shot guys, he's always delivered entertaining fights, always showed up, doesn't cry, doesn't cancel fights. He delivers and he's always there. I think give him the next title shot. Also, I just want to see them scrap, Topuria versus Gaethje. Like, come on, this must be very nice. So I want to see Topuria versus Gaethje next. Then I want to see Oliveira versus Arman next. We need the rematch. Arman needs another fight to get the title shot. We all know it. If Gaethje and Topuria are booked already, they fall away. So I would say we do another number one contender fight between Oliveira and Arman. Since the first fight was very close anyway, I think this just makes sense. And now let me cook. Because I would put as an enemy for Max Holloway, I would put the absolute BMF of all BMFs, at least to me in lightweight division. There's no more BMF guy than this guy. He's literally the definition of a savage, and I always thought this guy has to fight for a BMF belt. And before I keep on talking, the guy I'm talking about is Dan Hooker. So guys, Max Holloway versus Dan Hooker. Tell me this isn't an amazing fight. They are both absolute BMFs. Absolute. Dude, Hooker fought with a broken arm, broken everything. Dude, this guy is legit a psycho. Like, if I think of BMF in this division, then Hooker to me is the actual BMF. So, do another BMF fight. Hooker versus Holloway. Both tall guys, both striking heavy, both don't shy away from throwing bombs and just throwing in general. This fight will be a fight of the year contender. I'm telling you right now. Put Max Holloway versus Dan Hooker for BMF belt, and then afterwards the winner of this fight gets either a title shot or maybe a fight against the winner of Oliveira versus Arman. But I would do it like this. Do Arman versus Oliveira, Holloway versus Hooker, Topuria versus Gaethje, and then after all those fights we can still see how it plays out, Maybe one guy gets hurt. Like, let's say, for example, Arman and Hooker win, but Hooker is completely demolished from his fight and has to heal half a year. Then just give the title fight to Arman, and then give the winner of Arman and the enemy the Hooker fight. That's how I would do it. And yeah, that's pretty much how I would do it. I don't know, guys, tell me if you want me to talk about the fights a bit more. I made some notes here, maybe if you're curious. Like, I did some notes on what I liked and disliked about some fighters. For example, Costa really impressed me. Very nice start, very controlled, didn't get reckless. Nasty inside leg kicks. Oh my god, it hurt just from watching. He feinted a lot, which I absolutely liked, and Kopilov really bit on many of the fades, and yeah, this was a very good tactic of Costa. But what I didn't like, but it's also his fighting style, some people just fight that way and that's why they are so good. But I don't like how low Costa's hands are. He kept his hands very low. I guess it's because he would just gas out too much. I mean, look at the guy. He could easily fight light heavyweight. And I think he would just gas out too fast if he keeps his hands up all the time. That's probably why he kept them up. Down, sorry. And yeah, and then Kopilov, I have to say, guys, this guy has an endurance. Holy shit, man. He ate so many kicks, so many body kicks, punches. Oh my god. Like, I don't even get how this guy could still stand. And also didn't give up. Like, big respect to this guy. That's why I also said I don't want to see him fight an unranked opponent. Give him another, sturdy tank type of guy. That's why I chose Vettori. Yeah, and by the way, and I also predicted that Kopilov will get going late, and this is how it was. At the end of the fight, he started getting better. But whatever, yeah. And I mean, about Holloway and Dustin, I told a lot already. Yeah, Holland and stuff. I talked about this. So yeah, but as I said, if you want me to talk more about the fights when I do these matchmakings, tell me, then I will take more notes while watching the fights. But I personally want to keep it pretty casual and just focus on the matchmaking, so I don't mislead you too much with the title. So yeah, guys, that's my list, or that's my matchmaking schedule. Tell me if you agree, tell me if you disagree in the comments. I would really appreciate a like and a subscribe if you like this type of content. If you have any matchmaking ideas, I want to know. Yeah, and if you want to talk about the fight, feel free to ask me anything about in the comments. Thanks for watching, and until next time, bye bye.